Take us a little bit through then how your journey evolved right after surgery before you arrive at the present day where you actually feel really great.
So right after surgery, I think within a week, I hadn't been discharged yet because I got an ileus, which is basically where part of your intestine is paralyzed, the gut motility stops. And so you're more prone to a blockage. So some food I had ate wasn't able to pass because my intestines were not moving. So I ended up with a blockage, and they tried to irrigate it through the stoma. So they would stick like a catheter into the stoma, which doesn't hurt at all. There's like some slight pressure as if someone's pressing on your stomach, but it's not painful. And they would put water into it and then pull the water back out to try to pull the blockage. And that was able to relieve some of the pressure for me. I would get that done like twice a day, but it was not clearing the blockage at all. And then I think it was about 7 days post surgery, I spiked a fever and my heart rate was extremely high. I think it was like while I was trying to sleep, it was at 150, which it should not be at 150 when you're at complete rest. So one of the nurses called a rapid code, and that was quite terrifying because there was like 30 people in my room in the span of a minute all of a sudden. And then I think I got a CT scan that showed my bowel had perforated where the blockage was, which is what had caused the heart rate and fever. So the next day I had a resection of that part of my intestine, which luckily it was the part of my intestine closest to my stoma. So they didn't have to reconnect any bowel. They ended up just, I don't know how to describe it, but I guess pulling the stoma out with that part of the intestine and then making a new stoma. So then after that, I was doing really well. I think a week or two after that, I went home. And then within 24 hours, I spiked a really high heart rate again and had, I think, 103 fever. And that was really confusing because I had been doing really well for days. But all of a sudden, I was not good. And then I had to take an ambulance to the hospital because I couldn't stand up. If I tried to stand, I felt like I was gonna faint. And I think I would have if I tried to stand for too long. So I didn't feel safe, my family taking me to the hospital. So we took an ambulance. And due to my symptoms, they said I had severe sepsis, which I'm still not sure if they ruled that out or not because my chart is all over the place. So I potentially had severe sepsis, and due to my symptoms and the CT scan that had said suddenly all of my intestines were inflamed, that the CT technician thought I had Crohn's, and I've never had a history of Crohn's, but because everything that was left was inflamed, my surgeon said we needed to immediately go into surgery to just see what's going on. So the original plan was to just pop a camera in there and see what's going on. And so it was going to be just a laparoscopic exploratory surgery. But they couldn't fit the camera in my abdomen because the pressure was so high that I ended up with a full laparotomy, which is like, now it's like a 6-inch scar, not maybe longer. But they opened me up, and as soon as I was opened, they said my heart rate started to decrease. And based on those symptoms, it looked like abdominal compartment syndrome caused by post-colectomy panenteritis. And they found no cause. There was no cause whatsoever for this inflammation, even though they checked all of my intestines. So they ended up leaving me open and put me on a ventilator in the ICU for a few days so that my abdomen could decompress. And then I had 2 more surgeries to slowly close up my abdomen after. So my second complication, I guess, was just a lot of inflammation and pressure that had built up in my abdomen, and they don't know why. There's only been a few cases of this, so although it was really scary, and I think it sounds really scary for someone going into surgery, this is not something that happens often whatsoever. It was very rare and very confusing, even for the doctors. But luckily, they, were able to figure out how to treat it. And other than needing to be on a ventilator for a few days, which I was awake and that was not fun, in the end, it ended up being okay. And I'm very thankful for the doctors I had.